The galactic outpost of Valara 9 hung silently in the cold void of space, a fragile jewel orbiting a dying sun. Its steel towers gleamed faintly under the dim light, reflecting the thousands of ships docked in its orbit. The delegates of countless species milled about, discussing treaties, trade, and alliances. Among them were diplomats with eyes like liquid crystal, clawed hands, or scales that shimmered with emotion. Yet, despite the diversity, there was one thing everyone agreed on. This place was peaceful. For now, Commander Lior of Valara 9 walked through the corridors with careful steps. His silver hair swayed with each motion, his polished glass eyes scanning the delegates. He had witnessed war before, yet there was a tension in the air he couldn't shake. Something was coming, something different, something dangerous. The humans, a relatively new species to the Galactic Council, were among the delegates. Most considered them young, reckless, amusing, sometimes unpredictable. But no one really understood them. Humans at first glance seemed ordinary. They were weaker than the Valarans in raw strength, slower than the Fenarian reflex, and less intelligent than the scholars of Yilith. Yet beneath that ordinary exterior was something no one could measure. A fire, a hunger, a predator instinct that awakened when humans were cornered, desperate or protecting their own. It was invisible to sensors, impossible to quantify, and deadly when unleashed. Captain Mira Tal, a tall human with sharp eyes and a calm presence, walked alongside her team. Her crew moved like shadows, quiet but alert, scanning every corridor, every corner, and every doorway. They were not afraid. Fear for them was a tool, a signal that sharpened their senses. Mira's eyes flicked toward the observation decks where Valaran diplomats sipped nutrient gel and watched the stars drift by. To the galaxy, humans appeared calm, but beneath that calm lay precision, instinct, and danger, like a coiled predator ready to strike. The silence shattered when the alarm system blared across Valara 9. A convoy carrying Valaran diplomats had been ambushed near the edge of the outer rim. The message came in fragmented, panicked voices. Corlith. No survivors. Send help. Panic rippled through the outpost. Delegates froze, unsure what to do. Fear clutched at their hearts and hesitation spread like wildfire. But not the humans. Mira's voice cut through the chaos, clear and commanding. Suit up, now. We move immediately. Her crew responded instantly, donning armor, weapons, and tactical gear with fluid movements honed by endless drills. There was no hesitation, no questions, no debate. Humans acted, and the galaxy often mistook action for recklessness. Commander Lior watched from the observation deck as humans prepared. He had seen many species respond to threats. Some fled, some negotiated, some panicked. Humans did none of these. They were preparing to hunt, to protect, and to survive. A chill ran down his spine. These creatures were more than what anyone had assumed. By the time the humans arrived at the ambush site, the Corlith raiders were already confident. They had destroyed many convoys before and expected Velaran reinforcements to arrive slowly. They did not know what waited for them. Humans moved silently across the battlefield. They vanished between debris, emerging from shadows, striking with precision. Within moments, the first wave of raiders fell. Commander Lior felt his heart pound. He could see it clearly now. Humans were predators. Not in the way the Corlith were predators, loud, brutal, and unthinking, but silent, calculating, and almost artistic in their destruction. Each movement was deliberate, every strike efficient. The Corlith had numbers, claws, and firepower, but humans had something else, instinct sharpened by necessity, and the refusal to surrender. The surviving Corlith paused, confusion written across their monstrous faces. They had expected fear, chaos, hesitation. They found none. Humans advanced like shadows, coordinating without words, their movements almost impossible to track. Commander Lior whispered to himself, "They are not like anything we've ever seen. They are predators and we are witnesses." Even as the first part of the battle ended, tension hung thick in the air. Valara 9 had seen the calm shattered. The humans were composed, their eyes gleaming, scanning for threats. The Corlith were shaken, unsure of what had struck them. In that moment, the galaxy caught its first glimpse of humanity's true nature. Predator mode. Raw, unstoppable, terrifying. And in the silence that followed, as human soldiers secured the area and rescued the injured Velarans, a new realization dawned on everyone watching. The galaxy had underestimated humans. It had assumed they were fragile, untested, and naive. But now anyone who had witnessed this battle knew the truth. When cornered, when protecting what mattered, humans became something the universe had never seen before. A predator unleashed, calm yet deadly, precise yet unstoppable. Valara 9 was no longer peaceful. But perhaps with the humans there, it was safer than anyone dared imagine. The Corlith had underestimated humans, and they were about to pay the price. Their ambush had been meticulous, designed to crush the Valaran convoy without resistance. They had expected confusion, fear, and hesitation. What they got instead was calm, precision, and an unrelenting predator force. Captain Mira Tal led her team through the smoldering wreckage of the ambushed convoy. The air was thick with smoke, the stench of burned fuel and scorched metal clinging to everything. The Corlith had expected a fleeing, terrified human crew. They had no idea humans thrived in chaos. Every shadow became a shield, every ruined corridor a trap, every piece of debris a weapon. Check corners. Watch the walls. They will come for us, Mira instructed. Her voice was steady, almost cold, but it carried a warmth to her team, a reassurance that they were not alone. They moved like shadows, silent yet coordinated. Each human knew exactly what to do, each action complementing the others. It was as if they shared one mind, one instinct, one unshakable will. The first wave of Corlith drones moved into the corridor. They expected easy targets, screaming as they spotted the humans. But the humans were already gone, vanished into vents and shadows, striking from angles no one anticipated. Drones exploded with precise charges, their circuits fried before they could respond. Corlith fighters fell into traps, tripping alarms that sent deadly automated systems crashing down on them. Commander Leor watched from his shuttle, his eyes wide and his hands trembling. He had witnessed battles before, but never anything like this. The humans weren't just fighting, they were hunting, adapting, anticipating. Every movement seemed instinctual, yet perfectly calculated. The Corlith could not comprehend it. Their arrogance had blinded them, and now they were prey. Amid the chaos, Mira spotted the Valaran hostages, huddled behind a fallen cargo transport, wide-eyed and terrified. She moved toward them, signaling her team to cover her. "Stay low," she instructed softly. "We've got this. You are safe." Her calm voice contrasted sharply with the screams and explosions around them. A lighthouse in a storm. The Valarans hesitated, then trusted her, moving quietly behind her as she guided them through the battlefield. The humans worked in perfect synchrony. Engineers disarmed traps the Corlith had set. Marksmen disabled drones before they could strike. Medics attended to minor injuries immediately. There was no panic, no chaos, only efficiency and instinct. The predators did not just survive, they controlled the battlefield. Vorkath, the Corlith leader, watched from a distance, his massive claws trembling with frustration. He had underestimated these fragile creatures, and now he realized the truth. The humans were unlike anything he had encountered. They were not just fighters. They were predators who thrived under pressure, who turned fear into strength, and who fought not for glory but for survival and protection. One human operative leapt from a collapsed ceiling beam, landing behind a group of Corlith soldiers. With fluid motion, he neutralized 3 raiders before they even realized he was there. Another human used a shard of metal as a weapon, moving silently across the floor, striking quickly and disappearing into the shadows. The Corlith began to panic, retreating in small groups, confused and disoriented. Commander Leor's voice trembled as he muttered, "I never believed the legends, but it's true. They are predators." He could see it with his own eyes. Humans were predators in the purest sense. Silent, lethal, intelligent, and unstoppable when pushed. By the time the humans had secured the area and rescued the Valaran hostages, the Corlith forces were in disarray. Drones were destroyed, fighters were fleeing, and morale was shattered. The humans had not only survived, they had dominated. And yet they were not celebrating. They checked on the hostages, repaired essential systems, and ensured no one was left behind. Survival was not about ego for humans. It was about protection, loyalty, and duty. Mira gathered her team near the center of the wreckage. "They will regroup. We none need to be ready," she said, her eyes scanning the horizon. There was no fear in her tone, only determination. Each member of her team nodded silently, preparing for whatever came next. Commander Leor approached cautiously, still trying to grasp what he had witnessed. How do you do it? How do you remain so calm, so precise, so deadly?" he asked, awestruck. Mira's lips curved into a faint, almost sad smile. We survive, we adapt, and when someone threatens our own, predator mode kicks in. You've just seen it in real time. Lior's chest tightened. He realized that humans were more than just another species in the Galactic Council. They were a force, unpredictable, unstoppable, and terrifying to anyone foolish enough to threaten them. As Part 2 ended, the Corlith regrouped at the edge of the battlefield, unsure how to proceed. They had encountered predators before, but never like this. The humans were not just fighting, they were teaching a lesson. And the galaxy, for the first time, understood that humanity's predator mode was real, precise, and utterly unstoppable. The Corlith were furious. Their pride shattered, their forces scattered, and their plans in ruins. Vorkath, the massive raider leader, glared at the battlefield from the edge of the smoldering ruins. His claws clenched tightly, and his jagged teeth ground together as he surveyed the aftermath. He had underestimated humans twice now, and he would not make the same mistake again. With a guttural roar, he signaled his remaining forces to converge. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and yet they moved as if the odds did not matter. Captain Miratel stood at the center of the ruined cargo station, her eyes calm but burning with intensity. She could feel the tension, the growing threat of the cornering enemy. But fear, she did not know it. Fear was a tool, and she wielded it like a blade. Mira's team spread out, forming a defensive perimeter. They moved silently, their footsteps precise, their eyes scanning every shadow, every corner. Each member knew their role instinctively. Some were marksmen, some fighters, some engineers who could rig traps in seconds. The humans communicated without words, using subtle gestures, glances, and prearranged signals. The Corlith had expected chaos. They got perfection. The first wave of Corlith fighters charged. They screamed, claws swinging, teeth bared. They expected panic, but the humans did not flinch. A young human operative leapt from a pile of rubble, striking one raider down with a swift, precise motion before disappearing into the shadows. Another flipped from a shattered wall, taking down two more in a single fluid strike. Each movement was a demonstration of instinct honed to lethal precision. Vorkath's frustration grew. They are animals, he barked at his second-in-command. But not ordinary animals. These humans? They are predators. Everywhere we turn, they are waiting. We cannot catch them. Mira watched the battlefield with unwavering focus. Every Corlith movement was analyzed, every potential attack anticipated. When one of her team members was grazed by a plasma blast, she immediately signaled cover and struck back with calculated force. Humans did not panic. Humans adapted. Every corner, every piece of debris, every shadow became part of the battlefield, a weapon, a shield, and a trap. The Valaran hostages, still huddled nearby, watched in awe. They had heard stories of humans' resilience, but seeing it in person was different. These creatures, fragile by appearance, moved with the confidence of apex predators. They did not fear. They did not hesitate. And yet there was something more, something terrifying and beautiful. Every strike was purposeful, every movement a promise of protection. The Corlith attempted to outflank the humans, sending a group to the rear of the station. Mira's eyes flicked to the shadows. She anticipated the move before it happened. With a silent hand gesture, she directed her team to intercept. One by one, the flanking raiders fell into traps, their momentum turned against them. The humans struck quickly and vanished before the Corlith could respond. Commander Lior, observing from a nearby shuttle, felt his chest tighten. He had seen humans in small skirmishes before, but this was different. This was predator mode unleashed in real time. They were not fighting for glory or recognition. They were fighting for survival, for their comrades, and for the lives of the Valarans. And in doing so, they became something more than human. They became an unstoppable force, a terror that no enemy could predict. Vorkath, growing desperate, charged himself. He believed sheer brute force could break them. But Mira was ready. She anticipated the charge, directing her team to converge at critical points. As Vorkath swung his massive claws, humans dodged with uncanny speed, striking at vulnerable joints, at exposed armor. Each attack was precise, exploiting weaknesses no other species could have seen. The massive raider stumbled back, roaring in rage and pain. His forces, demoralized, faltered. Humans advanced relentlessly, cutting off escape routes and forcing retreat. It was a battle not of numbers, but of instinct, strategy, and predator precision. By the end of the confrontation, Vorkath lay wounded, barely able to command his remaining forces. The humans had survived against impossible odds, dominating a far stronger and more numerous enemy. Yet there was no celebration. Mira immediately moved to check on her team and the hostages. Every life mattered. Every second counted. Survival was not about ego, it was about protection, duty, and loyalty. Commander Lior approached Mira cautiously. I cannot believe what I've seen, he said, awe and fear mingling in his voice. They are not just soldiers. They are predators. Mira's gaze was steady, her expression calm. We fight to survive and we fight to protect. Predator mode is not just violence. It is instinct, focus, and loyalty. You've seen what happens when we are pushed to the edge. That edge is where we become dangerous. The galaxy would remember this day. Valara 9 had witnessed humans at their apex. The Corlith had learned a lesson they would never forget. Underestimating humans was a fatal mistake. And the humans? They were already moving forward, prepared for whatever came next. Unyielding, unstoppable, and unshakable. The smoke cleared. The battlefield was quiet, the echoes of the fight fading into the cold emptiness of space. The Corlith had retreated, battered and broken, their pride shattered. Valara 9 was scarred but standing, and in the center of it all were the humans, calm, composed, and terrifyingly effective. Commander Lior walked among the aftermath, his chest heavy with awe and disbelief. He had seen armies, fleets, and champions of countless species, but nothing prepared him for this. The humans had fought not as individuals, but as a single entity, moving with instinct and precision that defied explanation. They had cornered a more numerous, more powerful enemy and turned the battle in seconds. Valaran diplomats gathered, whispers spreading like wildfire. Did you see that? One hissed to another. They wiped out the raiders almost without breaking a sweat. Another shook its scaled head, voice trembling. Legends do not describe this, humans. They are something else entirely. Captain Miratal moved through the crowd, checking on the Valaran hostages and her team. Her expression was calm, almost gentle, but her eyes betrayed the sharpness that had dominated the battlefield. She knelt beside a frightened Valaran child, adjusting the blanket around it. You're safe now, she said softly. We will protect you. That is what we do. Her team gathered near her, some wiping blood and sweat from their faces, others reloading weapons or repairing armor. There was no celebration, no chest-thumping bravado. Humans did not fight for glory. They fought because it was necessary. Each life saved, each victory secured was more important than any praise. Commander Lior finally approached her, hesitation in every step. Captain, how? His voice cracked with wonder. How did you do that? How did you remain so composed, so unstoppable? Mira met his gaze steadily. We survive, we adapt, and when someone threatens our own, predator mode kicks in. You've just witnessed it in real time. Lior's eyes widened. Predator mode? He asked, almost in disbelief. It's not about aggression, Mira explained. It's instinct, focus, and loyalty. When humans are pushed to the edge, when our loved ones or innocents are in danger, something inside awakens. We see every angle, every weakness. We anticipate. We strike with precision, and we do not stop until the threat is gone. He nodded slowly, understanding dawning like a cold sunrise. I thought humans were fragile, untested. I was wrong, you are. Apex predators in every sense. Mira's lips curved faintly, almost sadly. Predator mode is not pride. It is survival. And protection. That is why you will never see us boast. You will only see results. Across Valara 9, news of the battle spread. Holograms of the fight, captured by drones and sensors, transmitted instantly to other sectors of the galaxy. Delegates from distant systems gasped in shock and fear. Humans were no longer considered inexperienced or naive. They were dangerous, calculated, intelligent, and relentless when cornered. The Corlith who survived spread their own version of the story, fearful, exaggerated, but unmistakable. Humans were predators unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships, troops, and fleets would hesitate at the mention of Earth's name. Legends would grow overnight. Back on the battlefield, Mira observed her team. They were cleaning their weapons, tending to minor injuries, and making sure every Valaran was safe. Each human moved with quiet efficiency, their predator instincts still sharp even after the fight. Commander Lior watched, realizing that humans were not just fighters, they were protectors, warriors, and survivors all at once. The galaxy underestimates us because it cannot measure what drives us, Mira said softly, almost to herself. It cannot see instincts sharpened by love, loyalty, and survival. But now it will. Lior felt a chill. He had thought the humans were just another species. Adaptable, yes, clever, yes. But he had never imagined predators of this caliber. And in that moment, he realized the future of the galaxy might shift dramatically. Any who doubted humanity would now think twice. Valara 9, scarred and battered, stood as a testament to what humans could achieve. They had turned chaos into order, fear into strategy, and near-certain defeat into victory. The battle was over, but the revelation was only beginning. The galaxy had seen it. Humans were predators, calm, calculated, and unstoppable when the stakes demanded it. The Corlith would never forget it. The Velerans would never forget it. And Commander Lior, for one, would never underestimate humanity again. Captain Miratel looked at the stars above Valara 9, feeling the weight of what they had done. "We fight," she whispered, "not for glory, not for fame. We fight because it is necessary. And when we fight, the galaxy sees the truth. Humans do not back down. Humans do not surrender. Humans survive. And we protect those who cannot protect themselves." And in that quiet, powerful moment, Predator mode, silent, lethal, and unstoppable, was revealed to the galaxy. Humanity had shown its true face, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Corlith were furious, humiliated by their earlier defeat. Their pride had been shattered, their forces scattered, and their honor insulted. Vorkath, the massive raider leader, refused to accept failure. He gathered the remnants of his fleet, sending out orders with ruthless precision. Every ship, every fighter, and every weapon system was prepared for a full-scale counterattack. Valara 9 would pay for the embarrassment. Captain Miratal stood on the command deck of her ship, her eyes scanning the dark expanse of space. The Corlith fleet was approaching, their jagged silhouettes glinting under the distant light of dying stars. Mira's crew moved with silent precision, checking weapons, reinforcing shields, and running simulations of possible enemy maneuvers. There was no fear here, only preparation. The humans were predators, and predators thrived when the threat was greatest. "Positions," Mira ordered, her voice calm but commanding. "Remember, every move counts. Every second matters. Protect the civilians, protect each other, and anticipate their actions. We do not wait for them. We act first." Her team nodded silently, moving into their stations. Engineers prepared drones for tactical strikes. Marksmen positioned themselves on elevated platforms, and medics stood ready to assist the injured. Humans communicated with gestures, glances, and subtle signals. There was no chaos, no confusion, only focused, coordinated action. The Corlith fleet surged forward, firing energy cannons and launching swarms of attack drones. Their roar echoed across the vacuum of space, a wave of malice and aggression meant to intimidate. But the humans did not hesitate. They moved with precision, dodging attacks, setting traps, and countering with unexpected strategies. A small human fighter ship darted through the enemy formation, weaving between blasts and returning fire with deadly accuracy. It disabled a Corlith dreadnought in seconds, sending the massive vessel spiraling into debris. Another human operative launched a series of magnetic mines, drawing multiple enemy ships into a trap. Explosions lit the dark void, painting the battlefield with fire and chaos. But the humans remained calm, as if the destruction itself was a tool to control the fight. Commander Lior watched from his observation deck, awe and disbelief gripping him. He had seen fleets fight before, but never with this level of precision, instinct, and lethal coordination. Humans were not just defending, they were dictating the battle. The Corlith, confident in their strength, were falling into a web they could not comprehend. On the surface of Valara 9, human ground teams moved like shadows through the ruined city. They dismantled enemy drones, disabled traps, and rescued trapped Velerans. Each movement was calculated, each action purposeful. Even when faced with overwhelming numbers, humans adapted instantly, using the environment to their advantage. Broken buildings, toppled towers, and scattered vehicles became weapons, cover, and ambush points. Vorkath's fury grew. "Attack harder. Crush them all." He bellowed, but his forces faltered. They could not predict the human strategy, could not counter their instincts, and could not survive the relentless precision of predator mode. Every move the humans made was anticipation, every strike a lesson, and with each failure the Corlith's confidence eroded. A human operative leapt from a destroyed vehicle, landing behind a Corlith squad and taking them down silently with swift, precise strikes. Another human used an energy whip to disable several drones at once, their circuits sparking and collapsing instantly. Humans were everywhere and nowhere at the same time. A storm of calculation and instinct that the Corlith could neither escape nor understand. Mira watched the battle unfold, her calm presence a beacon for her team. She knew the enemy's aggression would only increase, but humans were prepared for every contingency. Every trap the Corlith set was turned against them. Every maneuver anticipated, every weakness exploited. Predator mode was not chaos. It was order in destruction, a symphony of survival played at the highest intensity. By the time the counterattack ended, the Corlith fleet was in ruins. Ships were destroyed, fighters scattered, and morale completely broken. Valara 9 had survived, and it had survived because of humans. Yet there was no celebration. Humans immediately began tending to the wounded, repairing critical systems and ensuring that every Valaran civilian was safe. Every life mattered. Every detail counted. Survival was the only goal, and they had achieved it flawlessly. Commander Lior finally approached Mira once again. "I don't understand," he admitted. "You were outnumbered, outgunned, and yet you've won. How?" Mira's gaze was steady, calm, and unwavering. "We do not fight for power or glory. We fight to survive, to protect, to endure. Predator mode is not aggression, it is instinct, loyalty, and focus. You have seen it now, and the galaxy will remember it." As the Corlith retreated into the void, broken and terrified, whispers spread across the surviving fleets. "Humans, they are not ordinary. They are predators. Calculated, unstoppable, merciless when necessary." Valara 9, battered but intact, stood as a testament to humanity's abilities. The humans had turned an overwhelming threat into a lesson in survival, loyalty, and precision. And the galaxy, watching closely, understood one thing clearly. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Captain Mira Tal looked out at the stars, her eyes reflecting both exhaustion and determination. "We protect," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "We survive. And when necessary, the predator awakens." The galaxy had seen it again, humanity's predator mode, unleashed fully, decisively, and without mercy, and the universe would never forget it. The battlefield was quiet again, but the silence was heavy. Smoke drifted from shattered ships, twisted metal littered the ground, and the faint hum of dying energy systems filled the air. Valara 9 had survived thanks to the humans, but survival had its cost. Captain Miratal walked slowly among her team, her eyes scanning each member carefully. Some were covered in soot and blood, their armor dented and scorched. Others carried minor injuries, yet their eyes remained sharp, alert. Mira felt a pang of emotion. Every human had given everything, yet none sought praise. They fought not for glory, but for duty, for loyalty, for the lives of those who could not protect themselves. She knelt beside a young operative who had been graying. "Said by a plasma shot." "You're okay," she said softly, inspecting the wound. "We will patch you up. You did your part." The operative nodded, voice quiet but filled with pride. For humans, pride was not loud. It was measured, silent, and rooted in survival. Commander Lior walked among the wreckage, his eyes wide as he observed the aftermath. Ships were destroyed, drones smoldered in heaps, and the Corlith had been forced to retreat. Yet it was the humans who fascinated him most. They had faced overwhelming odds, fought brutal enemies, and emerged victorious. But their focus was already on the next task. They were checking on hostages, repairing communication systems, and making sure no life was overlooked. Mira stood at the center of the battlefield, watching her team work. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what they had endured. "Every life counts," she whispered to herself. "Every decision matters. We survive and we protect. That is what we are." The Valaran civilians rescued from the ruins stared at the humans with awe and gratitude. Their whispers carried a mix of fear and respect. "They are unstoppable," one said. "They fight like nothing we have ever seen." Another shook its head, tears in their eyes. "They are not just warriors. They are guardians." Even among the humans, the emotion was subtle but present. A medic comforted an injured teammate with a quiet word. An engineer gave a reassuring nod to someone struggling to repair a shield, and Mira herself felt the weight of responsibility pressing down. Victory had come, but it had not come without loss. Some teammates were exhausted, others injured, and though none would admit it openly, the trauma of battle lingered in the shadows of their minds. Commander Lior approached Mira once again, awe still shining in his eyes. You all fought like nothing I've ever seen. But at what cost? How do you keep going after something like this? Mira's expression softened, a rare moment of vulnerability. We carry the cost, she said quietly. We feel it, we endure it, and we move forward. Predator mode is not just about fighting. It is about surviving and protecting. And sometimes, the cost is heavy, but we do not stop. We cannot stop. Others depend on us. Lior nodded, understanding dawning. He realized that humans were more than fighters. They were resilient, adaptable, and unyielding. Even when faced with overwhelming danger, they endured. Even when exhausted, they continued. They were not invincible. But their will to survive and protect made them something far more dangerous than any weapon. Unstoppable in instinct, loyalty, and determination. Across Valara 9, the whispers of humans' victory spread to other species observing from afar. Stories circulated of their precision, their calm under fire, their predator instincts unleashed in real time. Some spoke in awe, others in fear. Many realized that humans were no longer to be underestimated. Back on the battlefield, Mira gathered her team. They had tended to the injured, secured the city, and assessed the damage. She looked at each of them, pride shining faintly in her eyes. You did well, she said softly. Every one of you. We survived because we adapted. We protected because we refused to fail. Remember this. Remember what predator mode means. It is not just power. It is responsibility, loyalty, and survival. The humans stood quietly, some exhausted, some injured, but all aware of the truth Mira had spoken. Predator mode was more than fighting. It was instinct, strategy, and the willingness to endure anything for the sake of others. Commander Lior watched silently, feeling a deep sense of respect. The humans had shown him something the galaxy had never seen before. A species that fought with intelligence, instinct, and unwavering loyalty, even in the face of overwhelming odds. And they had survived not for glory, but because they chose to protect life. As night fell over Valara 9, the humans continued their work. Fires were extinguished, critical systems repaired, and survivors tended to. Each small act of care was a testament to their nature. Lethal, precise, and yet compassionate. Even in the aftermath of battle, they remained predators, silent, focused, and unstoppable. Mira finally looked up at the stars, her expression calm but heavy with thought. We fight. We survive. We protect. That is who we are, and when the time comes, predator mode awakens. The galaxy will see it, and no one will ever forget Valara 9 had survived. The Corlith had been defeated. But most importantly, the humans had endured. The cost of survival had been high, but the galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Predator mode was real, and it carried a weight of responsibility as heavy as it was unstoppable. The Corlith fleet had vanished beyond the distant edge of space, broken and demoralized. Their retreat was not just a tactical withdrawal. It was a surrender to an enemy they could not comprehend. Humanity had proven in the harshest of ways that predator mode was not a myth. It was real, it was lethal, and it was unstoppable when the stakes demanded it. Captain Mira Tal stood on the bridge of her ship, gazing out at the remnants of the battlefield. The stars glimmered coldly, indifferent to the lives lost and saved. Yet beneath that indifferent sky, humans had left a mark that no one could ignore. Mira's chest rose and fell slowly. Exhaustion tugged at her, but she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Every decision, every risk, every calculated strike had mattered. Every life protected, every threat eliminated, was a testament to their will. Her team moved quietly around her, checking their weapons, tending to minor injuries, and ensuring the Valaran survivors were safe. There was no celebration, no triumphant cheers. Humans did not fight for glory. They fought because it was necessary, because the lives of others depended on them, and because survival demanded precision and instinct. Commander Lior approached her, awe etched into every line of his face. Captain, I have witnessed battles across the galaxy, armies, fleets. But nothing like this, he said quietly. Humans, you are not just soldiers. You are predators. Unstoppable, precise, and terrifyingly effective. Mira's lips curved faintly in a calm, almost sad smile. Predator mode is not about terror, she said softly. It is about instinct, loyalty, and protection. It awakens when necessary, when we are pushed to the edge and when those we care for are threatened. What you've seen is survival perfected, and when we protect, we become something the galaxy has never known. Across Valara 9, the surviving Corlith carried tales of their defeat. Even in their fear and shame, whispers spread. Humans were predators unlike any other species. Ships would hesitate, fleets would reconsider, and mercenaries would think twice before challenging Earth's forces. The galaxy had been forced to take notice. Back on the ground, Mira walked among her team and the rescued Valarans. She knelt beside an elderly Velaran who had been trapped under rubble. The creature's eyes glistened with tears. "Thank you. For everything," it whispered. Mira held the hand gently. "We protect. We survive. That is what we do. You're safe now." Her team gathered nearby, faces exhausted but alert. They had given everything in this fight, and yet there was no vanity in their victory. Humans did not boast, they acted, and their actions spoke louder than any words could. Commander Leor observed silently, realizing the depth of humanity's nature. Humans were not just physical predators. They were moral predators in a way, guided by instinct, loyalty, and unwavering responsibility. They struck with precision, yes, but they also healed, protected, and endured. The galaxy had underestimated them for too long. That mistake would never be repeated. Mira turned her gaze to the stars again. Her voice was barely above a whisper, yet it carried the weight of truth. We fight for survival, yes, but more than that, we fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. We endure, we protect, and when the threat demands it, predator mode awakens. It is not chaos, it is purpose, focus, and instinct. And when we act, the universe sees it in real time. The Velaran survivors began to whisper among themselves, awe in every tone. Humans were no longer seen as just young, reckless, or curious. They were apex predators, not in the mindless sense, but in intelligence, instinct, and adaptability. They were creatures who could face overwhelming odds and turn the impossible into reality. Even among the humans, emotions ran quietly beneath the surface. Relief, exhaustion, pride, and a silent understanding of their own nature. Predator mode was not something to celebrate. It was something to respect, to honor, and to wield only when necessary. And in that moment, every human present understood what it meant to truly be predator and protector at once. Commander Leor finally spoke, voice hushed with reverence. "The galaxy has never seen anything like this, and it may never see anything like it again. Humans are unstoppable when they protect and survive. They are predators." Mira nodded slowly, her eyes reflecting both determination and humanity's quiet power. "Yes," she said. "And now the galaxy knows. We do not fight for fame. We do not fight for glory. We fight because it is necessary. And when we do, predator mode awakens." In the silent aftermath, as the stars gleamed coldly above Valara 9, humans began the work of healing, rebuilding, and protecting. The Corlith would not dare return soon, and the galaxy would remember this day. Humanity had revealed its true face, calm, precise, intelligent, and merciless only when necessary. Predator mode was real, and it had been unleashed in real time. And with that realization, the galaxy changed forever. No one would ever underestimate humanity again.